Hello everybody. Give me just 1 second for my stream to catch up with there we go. The image, it gets better here in a second. Now let me see who's here. Fran, Debbie, hi Susan, hi Laura Lynn, Cindy, Ellen, Kimba, Donna, and Beth. Hello. Now what we are going to do today is Kawaii. If you don't know, Kawaii is Japanese for cute. Halloween beads and charms. And I did some lives last year and 2 years ago. I did some Kawaii. I'm sorry you cannot see me very well, but there's no way I can get the camera better so you can see it. And I don't seem to have a very good... Oh no, yeah. You might want to change your settings for 1080 because that's the best it can do. And it's Sunday. So, hi Judy, hi Elaine. Now, theoretically you need orange for this, but you don't actually have to have orange. And the way that I make my own orange, because this is the only little piece of orange that I have left, but the best way to actually make your orange is, remember now all the clay is on the same thickness, and I'm going to use the same cutter for everything. And I prefer to use the square one because it's much easier to cut in halves and quarters and stuff. And I'm not using the 1 1/2, I'm using the 1 1/4. So ideally, so this is cadmium yellow, cadmium red. Ideally, you don't go half and half because red is way stronger than yellow. And as you all know, Premo is a wonderful clay. Unfortunately, it's not very consistent. So first of all, I'm going to add, for 2 squares of yellow, I'm going to add half a square of red. And then we'll go from there. And anybody else? Hi, Lankitor. I don't know your name. Hi, Bennett. So, as I was showing Friday in my sponsors live, the best way to get a faster mix whenever you're mixing 2 colors is actually, and trust me, you will not break your machine. Normally you'd kind of go in half and go like this and then do the other way and go like this. I prefer to go, if at all possible, 3 times, 3 folds. I mean 2 folds and 3 layers. That would be 1, and see, I put it kind of like in the middle, a second one, and then I put it in the machine like this. And that allows me to go again 3. Pretty much a mandarin orange. That's a little bit darker than the regular orange, but if you want to make a color like this, you only add for 2, you only add half. But I have a reason why I made it like this, because first of all, we are going to make the a Skinner blend, and we are going to make the candy corn Skinner blend. Hi Marilyn. And for people outside the US who do not know how candy corn looks like, let me bring an image up. The regular, original candy corn. This is how candy corn looks like, and as you can see, there's a fairly flat lined Skinner blend that is between the colors. There's a little bit of a gradient, but not with an extended area of gradient. The gradient is fairly line. Now of course there's candy corn that's got all kinds of colors, like see here we got some with chocolate and stuff, but the candy corn orange is more towards the mandarin orange and not so much on the pumpkin orange. So this is why I made this orange first, because we are going to make a candy corn Skinner blend. Yeah, I love candy corn too, Marilyn. Unfortunately, it loves me a little bit too much, you know. So we need yellow, obviously, and white, and this mandarin orange. Now if you have the new mandarin orange of Premo, you can use that. And I'm going to cut. Actually, let me use this because it's better. This way we have the same measurements for everything. So this is the thickest setting all over. And you see that in the candy corn, the yellow and the white are a little bit shorter than the orange. Yeah, the candy corn loves me a little bit too much, so if I eat like 3 pieces of candy corn, I'm gonna put on 3 pounds. So, I don't know. Chemo completely messed up my carb processing ability. So, I'm not going to leave 1 on 1. I'm going to actually put like 2/3. So if I would notch here to get it in 3/3, I'm going to cut 1/3 off. Exactly. It gives us fat allergies. Now I'm going, because I still wasn't able to get under the table to fix the cable of the other camera, I'm going to show you mostly on the tile how to do it, pretty much by hand. So you saw how I very little overlapped the color. See, it's very, very little, maybe like not even 1/4 of an inch. And then you roll it, being careful to kind of keep line on line. Now remember that this is the overlap. And then very gently, because we don't need it to be very wide, we need it to be fairly... Hi Cecile, hi Chris. Okay, why did it... Probably because Donna typed in caps. I didn't want to show it. Hi Beverly. Yeah, with me, it kind of loves my belly more than my hips. So you kind of get this a little bit narrower. and then again flatten it. Now see what happens here, and it always will happen in any Skinner blend. You'll have the middle area at the ends going a little bit like this, and you don't want that to happen because it's going to go more into the other color than what you want. So give it a slit here and simply bring the lines back. If you want to make a wider gradient area, that's fine. These can stay like this, but if you want to keep a linear gradient, and again roll it, but with care to keep line on line pretty much. And then let's get it narrowed down a little bit more. Now I have to warn you that you will get quite a bit of air pockets with this method, so you might want to pay attention if you see them showing up and pop them. But it's the fastest. See how I got an air pocket here, and it's always better to do a cut than a needle. And I'm going to do again the slit, because see how it went again like this, and I'm bringing my lines back. And actually I'm going to cut a little bit of this orange because it's too much. It's very soft. And once again, kind of hold line on line. And I already have made, and I'll show you here in a second how to make them, because some of these beads we are going to make them with the cutouts. So I've already, they are in the oven, made some beads, or some yellow and some black beads. And there's a reason for that. Those will be the beads for cutouts. And see how you can always make a Skinner blend even without a machine, without a pasta machine. Only that you don't want it to go too far in the other color. And my white is a little faintly less conditioned than the yellow. And by rolling you can always direct the middle to stay where it's supposed to stay, and we don't get, and always use your acrylic block to get a more perfect cylinder. This one I'm going to actually completely get rid of it. Why? I love Skinner blends. I think they are really neat to make. Okay, see how I got a little bit too much orange here. I'm moving it. And why I'm doing it this way, as I said, because I want to have the Skinner blend fairly narrow. I don't want it to get too too wide. And I got enough for 2 beads, and I'll show you 2 different bead faces. And now I have enough blending that I can start working on my beads, but first and foremost I'm going to narrow this down even more. And this time I'm just folding. And then I'm going to start, again, careful about these very ends. And then I'm going to slowly start to roll it from both ends. And there's a reason for the madness, okay, until I get them approximately equal in the middle. Remember, I said I'm making 2 beads out of this. Of course, you can make it larger, wider. Make sure that you don't trap any air in here. It's okay if it gets pointy like this, because we are going to fix it. And I think I got a little bit too much white color. But you want it to be fairly short and fat, because usually the kawaii stuff is short and fat. So let's get rid of some of this white here. It's too much of it. Okay, 1 bead, and now the second bead. And gently pull this over so it would blend nicely. And now we are going to gently start tapering it towards the white, so we can get the specific shape of candy corn. And you don't want any folding line here. And round it up like this, roll it on the tile like this to round up the bottom, the very bottom of it, and the top like this. Let's do this other one. So first wedge it, yeah, it helps tremendously, especially when you have hands issues. And again, I'm going to make sure that I don't have the folding lines here, and round up the bottom. And round up the top. Let me go grab the beads out of the oven so they can start cooling off. Just a second. Okay, sorry, I was trying not to burn myself. Okay. And now, before I start doing anything, let me show you the principle of Kawaii. Where's my pencil? I lost my pencil. I had a pencil here. Let's try the pen. This is a pencil, actually. Okay, so the principle of Kawaii is, it doesn't matter what shape the head is. It can be round, it can be square, it can be triangular, but the principle is you have big eyes and the mouth is fairly close to the eyes, and the eyes can be open, so they'll be black, and most of the time you put a little dot of white. But the mouth is pretty much where the nose would be. And it's very simple to make. It's just a little rounded thing. When the eyes are closed, they are closed in a smiling. And the smiling doesn't mean that the eyes are like this. The smiling, the eyes are like this. And the mouth again will be between them. So these are the best Kawaii expressions. Of course, you can do a winking Kawaii, and that would be a regular open eye. A smiley eye, and a little mouth. And this is a winky Kawaii. So as long as you remember this, you'll make the best Kawaii faces ever. So let's start making some faces, and I'm gonna put my readers, and then I'm gonna be all over my tile, so you might see only the top of my head. But the way that we are doing it, and you can do it with a needle. Most of the time I prefer, let me grab my needle tool, if I can find it. There we go. Here's one needle tool. Your best bet is to grab some black and make super tiny. I'm gonna show you on white how tiny you need to make them. Let me see if I can work on this. So to make these things very thin, hold with one finger and pull with the other while gently. Okay, I messed up a fingernail. That will teach me to do my fingernails right before the live. They don't have time to dry properly. Okay, so we have very thin line. Okay, now I'm going to get the camera refocused. Sorry, I'm holding my fingers there so I can focus. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, and now let's say I have this little candy corn face, right? And this is not very good. Let me get it a little bit more evened out here. And you want to make it fairly fattish, okay? And your best bet is to first poke it on what you're going to bake it on and gently go down. Get your, okay, this is not very, and then go in the other way And remember I showed you before how to do this. This would be the tile, and you gently roll it towards the top of the needle that you're gonna bake it on, to make it nicely wedged. And now we are going to give it some eyes. Of course I need some flat eyes too. I'm gonna make one smiling and one with big eyes. Thank you. Okay, so tiny dots, okay, and another one. Just your only problem is to make sure that you make them both the same size. Fairly relatively identical. Then I'm going to smash them and bring them more towards the end. And it's easier when you work directly on the tile, but I need to show you how it's done, of course. So smash them. And then if you have any stuff like this here, you can use make sure I put it on the same height. And now the other thing that we need are two itty bitty dots of white. Just make sure that you place them in the same spot on the black. I mean, not one on one end and one on the other end. And again, they need to be kind of the same size. So your best bet is to get a blob of white and cut it in half. And then we place a half on this corner. And the other half again on the same corner of the black, on the same okay, I got a little bit of black. And then gently roll it again. And now it's time to give it a little mouth. So I'm going to get rid of the end here because it's a little bit thicker than the rest. And grab a little mouth and shape it already. You need to have it already shaped. Then pick it up. Come on, get picked up. And place it up between the eyes. Actually, I want to make it a little bit fatter, even. There we go. I got one kawaii bead. Now the other one, we are going to make it smiling. And because it's a fairly large bead, this time I'm going to use a little bit thicker black. And let's round it up a little bit here. Thank you, ladies. That fills my heart with joy when I hear that and read that. Okay, now I said we're gonna make a little bit thicker line. Not much thicker, but a little bit thicker than this. And cut. The eyes have to be just slightly longer than the mouth. So one eye, two eyes, and the mouth. And again, we want to already have it shaped, because you don't want to start chasing it around on the raw clay. And the best is to just come from both sides like this, and then pick it up with a needle. And remember, they go upside down. I did distort it a little bit, but you want them to be fairly rounded like this. Let's do the second one the same way. Get it here and then come from both sides to round it up, and we place it fairly apart from the other one. And now we do the little mouth the same way. And we put it almost at the same line as the eyes are. And once again, we gently rub it again. And this I'm doing it on the acrylic block so you can see better, but I normally do this directly on the tile. Just make sure that you don't do what I just did. Don't get them too close together. I should have put the eyes a little bit farther apart. And this one is 2. Okay, pretty much this. Now let's make a cute pumpkin. I'm gonna put this to the side. To make a cute pumpkin, I'm going this time to grab my mandarin orange, and if you have orange, directly orange Premo, just use the orange Premo. So I'm going to get 1 square of mandarin orange and 1 square of yellow. Where's my, there it is. Ow. Sorry, sometimes when I move weirdly I get shoulder pain. So again, remember, I'm going like this, and then I'm going to just keep going in the 3-fold like this, and then go like this, and then get it, it's gonna be long like this, and do the 3-fold. Let me refocus the camera though, and I'll put it back to close when I get to close. Okay. Okay, give me just a minute. this is the color that you will get if from the start you go with 2 squares of yellow and 1/4 of a square of cadmium red. If you use pomegranate red, that's going to be even, you need to put even a little less than the cadmium red, because pomegranate red is it's even darker, stronger. Okay, now for the pumpkins, I shall use a black bead. Let me put one back here because I don't want to lose them. They're gonna start rolling all over the place. And I'm going to make, yes, this is the where I got the shots, because this is where I have the spurs. So it seems to work as usual. As I said, I'm always doing them September, October, whenever the weather goes, the temperatures go down. Okay, so now we want again to make a, let me clean a little bit this acrylic block. And for some reason I bruised more on the right than on the left this time. But these are small bruises. Usually I bruise more because apparently I have a lot of small blood vessels in my hands, and it's very hard for them to get where they need to go without, you know, poking a little blood vessel or two. Okay, so you want to make some, oops, sorry, some it's not string, but it's a little bit thinner than sausage. And in order to make the beads, what you do, your best bet is again to have a cutter. Actually, let me show you on the red because I have more red here. You get the cutter, or if you have a graded tile, you can just cut to have the same size. And you can use the smaller cutter. It doesn't have to be square, it can be any shape. Just use the same one for all of them. And I'll show you how I make my round beads. So I'll have all my beads the same size, and you just roll. It has to be here, okay? Don't let it leave the very depth, the most depth of your of the palm of your hand, and roll until you cannot see any more folding line, because you see when you put the clay together you're gonna have these folding lines, and you roll until you see no more folding line. Of course, if you have a bead maker and you're comfortable with a bead maker, you can just go with the bead maker. Then poke it, and the way that I do it, your brain will take over. You'll be on thank you, Lauraline, but I don't think you want my hands. Hold the bead with one finger here, and then start pretty much from here, and let your brain take over, because you'll be expecting to feel the needle in the middle of your finger. So your brain will direct you exactly where you're expecting the poke. See? And then if you want to check, now I took it out and it's not perfect for me, but normally if you go it in one go, it's going to be okay. But if you want to check if your bead is well centered, like this one is not, but look what happens. You start turning it around, and you can see it's off. So let's do it again, and I'll do it in one. Thank you, Susan. Okay, so I'm going to go in one go. This time not lift the bead from my finger. And I know where I'm expecting my thing to go, and see, this time it's perfectly centered. And then you go on the other side and go in. Now what will happen whenever you do this, your bead will get a little bit flattened, or more flattened if it's a very soft clay. So what you do, very gently roll it, but this time don't press hard like before, just roll it very gently, and you got it back to perfectly round, and you already have the pokies for it. And there you go, you can go ahead and bake it. But let's get back to our little pumpkins. So I have, theoretically you need 6 segments, and where's my bead? And the segments should be as long as the bead is the diameter of the bead, even if they'll be longer in the end, but that's how you need to cut them. So I have, this is not enough, I need a little bit more. Where's my, this is not mine, this is mine. Okay, let me make it a little bit longer. So again, when you do the sausage, start with the bead. And they do shake sometimes, Beverly. Start with the bead and then start gently getting your bead like this. Extend it, and then use your acrylic block, and you can get it longer this way, and you'll get all your little sausage the same thickness all over. And I'm going to do it like this because I need these for the second pumpkin, and then we'll make another pumpkin pendant. So these you can use as beads, or you can use as charms for your key ring, for all kinds of stuff. These are actually, and I think that I have them, you can find them on PolyClay Play, and I think I do have them in the, let me make sure, let me just make sure, in the tools. These come with the Scalpy baking rack. I just didn't take it from the oven because it was too hot. Let me check, because it should be in tools. I'm not saying that it's not possible to forget them, but, and yes, I did forget them. I have the bead makers, but I don't have the bead baking rack. Give me just a minute and I shall add it. And I made some myself, because they come only with like 6, I think. Okay, I guess it's better to put the rack there too. There's an Amaco, but that's a big one and it's $50. This is different than the one I have. But it does have pokey things. Let me add this one and then I'll look some more. But I'll give you the link to PolyClay Play as well. Let me put this in tools. And I'll give you the link to tools. Actually, it might not let me. Hold on, because remember that in the chat I have to go all the way to shorten the link. But if you go to my influencer store and you look for the tools, Hi, Mary. Okay, let me look some more. There's an Amaco bead baking rack, but it's like $53. I wouldn't pay $53 for this. And by the way, I'm trying to remember who made it. There's a lady who showed the. Let me go get the rack because it's cool by now. Because that is very important for what I want to tell you next. Remember that I said at Lowe's you can find all kinds of awesome stuff to use in the craft. So this is the rack, okay? This is the rack, and then the pointy thingies go like this. And I have a few that I made myself out of. I don't have any here. Out of 16 gauge, but I saw a tutorial. I'm trying to remember who made it. A lady made a tutorial on how to make this out of the it's up to you. With Amazon you have the Amazon Prime and you don't pay shipping. With PolyClay Play if you get free shipping if you order at least 100. No, I don't think it was Susan. This lady made much larger of these. Oh, here's one that I made. It's just stuck here. Out of the metal sheets that are in the back of a refrigerator. And she made them in such a way that you could actually stack them. But I would have to look for that. It wasn't polymer clay tutor. I'm trying to remember who did that. It's been a while since I watched it, and I slept in between, so I'll have to look, and I'll put it in the video description. Yeah, you can make it out of clay. You can bake beads, but the idea was about the pokey things. And the pokey things you can get 16 gauge wire at Lowe's and just make your own. Let me unstick this one here. See, I made these ones, and you can use some metal file and do this pointy, but you can make yourself some. You can bake beads on fan folded paper, and you put the beads in the going down in the valleys of the fan fold. But I wanted to show you the for this. Oh, and I was looking for more. Hold on. So this is the Amaco. I'm going to add it to the tools. And let me see if I find them. If I find this other one on Amazon. Okay, now let's look at PolyClay Play. Because the baking rack, it's only $6.95, and you can get a smaller one as well, and you can get additional pins. Let me give you the link. Okay, that's exactly the baking rack that I have. All right, let's get back to this, and we have the, I said we need to, because the bead is 1/2 inch, right? And you want the diameter between the holes, not like this. You want the diameter between the holes, so it is pretty much 1/2 inch. Let me bring my... Okay, so I'm going to cut, and see, I'm bringing it a little bit over because I want to make sure that I get a 1/2 inch. I'm going to cut 1/2 inch segments, and I need 6 of them. 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the other thing that you do once you have your 6 segments, gently taper the ends. Simply by pressing on the ends. And when you're tapering them, of course, it's going to lengthen a little bit, but you need to have them lengthen a little bit so that you can cover the hole. And most of the time it's, if you do it, the sausage, just a little bit smaller than 1/2 inch, about 3/4 of 1/2 inch. I don't know how to explain it. Hi, Emily. It's okay. I mean, you can always watch in the replay, but you're missing the interaction. That's the only thing. Hi, Amy. And if I didn't see anybody saying hi, it's because I have to watch what I'm doing, and the chat moved, and that's why I didn't see you to say hi. Okay, so I'm going to get this back on the skewer. Yeah, I'm going to have to look for that, and of course you need some bacon bond. Let me grab bacon bond. No, this is liquid clay. Where's my bacon bond? This is my bacon bond. Because you want to place some bacon bond on here. And of course these you can make them ugly as well, but we are going to make them pretty today. Kawaiis. Okay, and then start placing. It needs to be a little bit longer. Start at the side, in the middle, and then bring them over. You might need more. You just remember that they need to be. If you make them fatter, of course you need less. I think that I made them now for 8 or 10. Sorry. It's been a while since I made these stuff like this. And by the way, if you make this too tall, you can, too long, you can shorten it. You simply move your fingers together while doing this, and you can shorten your little wormy thing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get some more of these. Sorry. I forgot my measurements. But always start in the middle and then bring the other ones over, the ends over. And I made it a little bit larger than what I usually make it, and that's probably what threw me off. Because remember, some things, if I make them the size that they should be, that I normally make them, it would be very hard to, and have to zoom in too much. Okay, let's get some more of this. I guess I made like 12 of them. I'm gonna make 14. Yeah, and they are, I think that I have some bead piercing pins in the tools. Hold on. Let me check. Give me just a minute. Because they should be there. Yes, there are some. The fourth item are bead piercing. They're needle for pottery sculpting. And then I have several owls, because I have owls as well, that you can use for bead piercing. But the thing is that you cannot use those for baking the beads. And most of the time when I make complicated beads like this, I prefer to work them directly on the stuff that I'm gonna bake them on, so I don't have to do any kind of I don't risk to deform them, you know, when moving them from one to the other. But that's what I said. If you get, there's a roll of 16 gauge wire at Lowe's, is like, I don't know, $7, $8, something like that. Much cheaper than if you'd go get it at the craft store. Too bad you cannot, you only can find it in copper and silver, and you cannot really find anything. I think that the thinnest you can find is 20, and that's a little thick. You know what I didn't bring to the table? I forgot to bring some green for the leaves. So I needed 12 of these sides. Actually even 13, because it's a Halloween bead. Yay. 13. Stay there. Okay, so we got the pumpkin. Well, it would be kind of hard to, you saw the shape of those piercing pins. How I'm going to, they're not really a good, and most of them, they have the metal ones, the piercing part is only like this. I mean, it's much easier to put them on wire, you know. Where's the Fimo bead piercing pins? Let me look for them. Okay, that's how they are called. Fimo bead piercing pins. And there we go. I found them. And there we go. They are not on Prime though. And they make 3 weeks to 5 weeks to get there. I'm gonna add them to the tools. But the ones that I found are not Prime. Let me look some more. Beading needles. So yeah, no, those are the only ones. So your best bet would be to get the wire. Hold on, I'll show you the wire. Yeah, in just a second. This is wire from Lowe's that you can make as many pins as you want. See, it's 16 gauge, and I think you can find even 14, but for my personal use, the 16 is the best. You can see it's almost as thick as the the scalpy ones. And yeah, you can make the rack out of aluminum foil. You know, you just get you get aluminum foil and some of that wire, and then you can simply get some aluminum foil, make it as long as you want your rack to be. But you want some thicker aluminum foil. This is not heavy duty, you want heavy duty. And you make it as wide as you want, of course. And then you simply, hold on. You simply make your pokies, you hold and press down. Because sometimes with the rack, the problem with the scalpy rack, I'm gonna tell you what my problem with the scalp, but see, you can make your own, and this is made with wire, and you can put your beads on it. The problem I have with the rack is that, you've seen that sometimes I make quite large beads, and especially the long torpedo ones, they don't fit here. So I have to place them like this, you know, to fit the whole bead. And because of that, I cannot place as many beads as I would like to, you know. So that's the only. But if you find that kind of metal that goes in the back of the, let me actually put these on the rack so they don't get deformed. Like the ones for the refrigerator, if you find them at Lowe's, that's one of the best ways to make your own rack and have more than just one rack. But yeah, as I said, the one that I see on Amazon doesn't look like the one I have, but Trish at PolyClay has it. Yeah, that's another good idea. I mean, you can do all kinds of things using, you can use tin boxes for that. You can use all kinds of stuff. You can make it out of polymer clay if you want. Who said that they made it out of polymer clay? Okay, so now very careful. Remember that we still have the black here. Now if I want to do the eyes, I am going to use a one of the itty bitty clay doodle thingies. I have a nitty bitty inside the nitty bitty. So let me see, would these be big enough? I think this should be big enough. And put my eyes. Okay, so remember that I have bait clay underneath. So let me see what I'm doing, and if I don't need to refocus. I need to refocus. There we go. Okay, and you go in, and I'll show you an easier way to make a pumpkin besides the little sausages. And we go in and we cut 2 eyes. Come on. Hold on. I didn't cut all the way, I guess. That was my thing. I was expecting it to come out, but I guess I didn't cut properly. And the second eye, and of course you clean it a little bit after that. Here should be good. But what I suggest is to, after you cover them, put them in the fridge for like 15 minutes, because that way they will not deform when you cut. It's the best thing to do. Oh, come on. Because here, as I told you, a lot of times it gets a little hot on my table because of the lights. As if you put them in the fridge, it's much easier to cut, to have some clean cuts here. And you can even use, if you find tiny googly eyes, you can use tiny googly eyes. And for the mouth, got one straight line. I lost the tip of my blade. Got one straight line, and then one slightly curved. If you keep them in the fridge, you don't need to do all this cleanup that I'm doing right now, because they come up perfectly nice and straight. And the other nice thing that you can do, if you have the gum cleaner, but even if you don't have the gum cleaner, gently bring up a little bit the, let me grab a sculpting tool, the corners of the mouth. Because see how I did mess up here, because you don't have to manipulate this much if they are cold. And you got a cute little pumpkin, a smiling little pumpkin. And let me grab a little bit of green. Just some regular green. Of course you can use jungle, or it doesn't have to be Premo. You can use a souffle or whatever. Yes, and you can make these little beads for earrings as well. I forgot to say that. And let's grab a few crumbles of green. And of course you need to condition it. I'm going to just do this between my fingers a little bit. And we're gonna make it a curly. So first of all, I'm going to make a leaf or two. So the same thing, two wedged at both sides. And then one string. Wait just a minute, I'm not going to refocus because I need to focus here. You know, see, the thing is that when they are cold, they come out. I mean, you don't deform the edges. That's the main issue. Okay, did I just lose one of my... Oh, there it is. Goodness gracious. Okay, now I got one leaf, as I said. Taper it a little bit. It doesn't really look like a pumpkin leaf, but that's just fine. Don't sweat it too much. And then you can use the needle if you want. Because nobody's going to tell you, oh, that's not a pumpkin leaf. Okay, I went a little bit too far here. And you can put more than one leaf, but and then with this, hold on. Okay. And what you want to do, you want to make it the spiral to be quite on itself, not one single string by itself, because otherwise it's going to fall easily. You want it to be fairly compact, but still be able to see the curly. And there we go. I got a kawaii pumpkin. So this would be one pumpkin. And it's already on the baking thing, so we are good to go. Now, the second way of making a pumpkin, let me grab another black bead and put a little bit of got on the thickest setting on the pasta machine. And what you want to do, you have to be careful though to not cover, to know exactly where your holes are. You cover it in pretty much in orange. And use the same thing as when making the beads. First, make sure that you got the holes. Round it up and then put it back on the... But see, I still have some fold lines. Come on. And then you're, as I said, you already have the holes, so you don't have to worry too much. And then you can get any sculpting tool that's got a straight line on it. You can use the back of the X-Acto knife, and you just go in like this. And after you do this, you want again to put it in the fridge. And honestly, I personally prefer to put them in the freezer because they go hard much faster. Okay, I guess we need one more here. This is easier to do like this. And then you do the same thing, but let's say that I don't want to have such a the same kind of mouth, so I'm going to use a different cutter, a different cutting way for the mouth. So again, we cut the eyes and make sure that we leave some room between the eyes. And get the see how it came out, because I didn't finagle with them so much. The warmer the clay, the less precise the cuts will be when you take them out. But the clay on this one was a little bit firmer, less warmed up. Yes, I did. I use a lot the ultralight if I make bigger beads. No. Okay, now here what I want to do, I'm going to get me pretty much what would be the size that I want the mouse. This is a little bit too large. Let me get the one that's a little bit smaller. And I want to put the mouth pretty much in between the eyes, but I'm going in like this because I only want the bottom of the mouth. Oops, and I didn't do a great job. It's kind of hard to hold it in certain ways. And remember the Kawaii designs pretty much. So you do one cut that's very close to the bottom lip, very close, and then what you want to do is give it one tooth. So cut like this. Can you see what I'm doing? Cut like this and then get on it and then go the other way here, and then you can use your needle tool to get it a little bit cleaner. But as I said, all this is much easier to do with your bead is cold. And you can make it a tooth on the bottom lip as well if you want, but try to make the mouth fairly up on the eyes. And let's give it some leaves as well. And I want to make at least one more. Just because I've had so much stuff to do. I had all intentions to do more Halloween stuff, but it's like I can never know what's going to happen. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing as before. Put a few leaves on it. And another thing you can do, and I'll show you here in a second, you can give it a little bit of bangles to make it even cuter. So let's give it one leaf here. Okay. I completely messed this one up. One leaf here. And let's give it some bangles. So make a little cylinder, almost a cylinder, like if you would go for a leaf. Okay. I don't really have time to make a lot of stuff for vending, Lena. Usually these end up in these stashes. Okay, so you saw what I did. I just got these separated. Also, like almost like if you wanted to make some grass. And then grab it off the block or tile that you're working on, and we're gonna give it some bangs. Come on, get there. So this is another way to make a pumpkin with kawaii features. Now I absolutely need to, before I get tired, I really want to show you some other stuff. As you can see, I was prepared, but okay, we're gonna get some black, and I'm going to use the same thing with making sure that I have my holes here, and I'm going to cover it in black. And make sure that I have my holes well pinpointed here. Then I'm going to remove the folds, and from time to time check that I still have the holes here. Okay, and then put it back on the baking thing, and this time, and again, it's much better when it's cold, yeah. Alrighty, so one eye, two eyes, then a small because you can have a small mouth, a round mouth as well in Kawaii. So we're gonna put a small round mouth here, and then you can get red, you can get pink. I'm going to just use red because I don't want to turn around and have to look for pink. But oops, okay, don't go away. But what you want to do, you want to make a little triangle. Let me use this, it's much easier. A rounded triangle pretty much. And then we grab this. As I said, I'm using red, but it's advisable to use pink. And we're gonna put it right on top here. Then remember, we still have this thread, right? Come on, stay there. Sorry, I'm starting to get tired, so it takes a little bit longer. But you can do actually this part, you can actually do it with a black marker, with a fine point black marker, or you can just not put pupils here. And then your next, I'm not gonna do this because soon I'm gonna have to lay down. And the next thing that you want to do, again, get a sheet that would be more tapered towards one side, and we want it to be about this big. This big. Let's remove these, and again taper a little bit here, and then out. And then what you want to do is to get it gently bent, just a little bit. And then grab the other one, and again look for the thickest part and gently bend it, and you put it with the dip towards the face. And there we have a kitty, black kitty. And then the final, before I get too tired, it's going to be super simple. You want your clay pretty much on a... No, I took one right before I started. You want your clay this time about on a medium setting, not on the thickest setting. And again, let's get some bacon bond on it, or liquid clay, but you know I prefer the bacon bond. And again, keep it on the baking thing so you can keep track of the holes. And then we'll cover it up in white. And before you do this, don't do like me, clean your hands first. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so get it all together, then take it off, get rid of the fold lines. Make sure you don't lose your hole, because I already did. No, there it is. Because I was reading and I was doing this and I didn't realize I did this too much. Okay, and this will be very simple. This will be the ghost. So again, keep in the freezer. Make 2 big eyes. And get them out. And as I said, if you find googly eyes that are perfect for one of the sizes of these cutters, it looks awesome when you put googly eyes in the cutouts. I just don't have any this size, unfortunately. I didn't think about it to get some. But of course, you put those there, you glue them there after you bake the whole thing. Yeah, a little ghost. And now we're gonna give it a little mouth. And you can actually cut it out, or you can simply give it a so place it, but don't press it down until you get the full. And your best bet, if you want to clean this, your best bet is grab a little bit of paper towel and you can do it with a Q-tip as well. Just make sure that you wrap real good the cotton. Yes, you can do the, you can mix some of that glow in the dark powder that I showed you in the black clay as well, or put a little bit of glow in the dark paint in the eyes. So you can just use alcohol to clean the eyes. And if you want to make it even cuter, your next thing would be to make a little sausage. And I'll show you what we do with the little sausage. About a little bit smaller than 1/4 of an inch. Then flatten the sausage. Let's get it off the acrylic block. Sorry. Let me make it a little bit longer. And you can transform the little ghost in a little mummy. Oops, sorry, I told you I'm starting to get tired, so my hands start messing up. And you don't have to cover all of it. It's enough if you put just a few. Lines. And there you go. Thank you. Yeah, I added this in the nail polish section of the, but it's not, this light is way too strong to see it properly. I'll turn off so you can see better. So yeah, there we got a little mummy bead. So I hope you liked this. I wish I was able to be on longer, but I had a very killer week. As I was going to show you a little Frankenstein and other stuff, but okay. And this is how the, don't, let me refocus this first so you can see what's here. Okay, and nails in regular light. This is that magnetic thing that, and I added them to the nail polishes. Okay, so as I said, I hope you liked it and you found it instructional, and I know kids especially love to do these. My personal favorites are these ones, the ones done with the little wormy things. But as I said, if you put them in the freezer, it's going to be much easier to do them. Okay, so thank you so much, and look forward, because I'm wrapping up some tutorials right now. I'm just going to go rest for today. I had enough with such a weekend, celebration yesterday and all that, but I look forward to at least one tutorial coming up on YouTube this week before Sunday, and then Sunday we'll do something else. Sunday is, what is it, the 27th? Yeah, the 27th. So I promise you will have Halloween fun. Okay, thank you so much, and have a wonderful Sunday, what's left of it.